The Roman Emperor Commodus believed himself to be the reincarnation of the legendary Hercules. Born in 161 AD to the esteemed philosopher Emperor Marcus Aurelius, Commodus seemed destined for greatness. But his 12-year reign as Roman Emperor from 180 to 192 AD proved to be one of the most disastrous and infamous in the empire's history. Commodus's obsession with gladiatorial combat, delusional self-identification as the reincarnation of Hercules, and descent into cruelty and megalomania ultimately led to his demise and Rome's decline from a golden age into turmoil. As heir to the Nerva-Antonine dynasty, Commodus was groomed from birth to be a virtuous and capable ruler. He received an elite education in philosophy, military affairs, and governance befitting a future emperor. However, Commodus displayed signs of mental instability and a volatile temperament from an early age. His interests gravitated more toward athletics, violence, and self-aggrandizement, rather than the stoic virtues espoused by his philosopher father. In 177 AD, at just 15 years old, an unprecedented move made Commodus the youngest ever co-emperor alongside Marcus Aurelius. This set the stage for his troubled sole rule after his father died in 180 AD. One of Commodus's most infamous preoccupations was his passion for gladiatorial games and combats. In a shocking departure from traditional imperial behavior, Commodus frequently entered the arena himself to fight as a gladiator, dressed in a lion's skin and armed with a club to mimic the mythological figure Hercules. These spectacles saw Commodus slaughter scores of wild animals like lions, elephants, and giraffes, as well as condemned prisoners and even dwarfs and cripples for his own cruel amusement. He reveled in the violence, demanding roars of approval from the horrified crowds. To fund these lavish games, Commodus drained the Roman treasury by executing wealthy citizens under false charges so he could seize their assets. This economic strain contributed to Rome's decline. Commodus's obsession with Hercules extended far beyond just his gladiatorial appearances. In a bout of extreme megalomania, Commodus began portraying himself as the reincarnation and living embodiment of the divine hero. He had innumerable statues erected depicting himself as Hercules, even converting the Colossus of Nero monument by adding a club and lion's skin headdress. Commodus officially renamed himself Hercules as part of his imperial title. In 192 AD, Commodus took his delusional self-deification to new heights. After a fire, he declared himself the refounder of Rome, renaming it Colonia Lucia Annia Commodiana, and even changing the names of the months to titles like Hercules, Invictus, and his own names. He demanded his subjects worship him as a living god, and Roman coinage depicted him adorned with divine radiant crowns. This cult of personality marked the peak of his narcissistic delusions of grandeur. Commodus ruled as an increasingly paranoid autocrat, frequently executing perceived enemies and purging those around him. The marginalization of the Senate and reliance on a Praetorian guard of corrupt favorites enabled his cruel excesses. Multiple conspiracies emerged to assassinate Commodus, ultimately succeeding on December 31st, 192 AD. His mistress Marcia poisoned his food, and when it failed to kill him, sent his wrestling partner Narcissus to strangle him in his bath. The Senate immediately declared Commodus a public enemy, demolishing his statues and undoing his renaming of Rome in a campaign of damnatio memoriae, erasing his legacy from existence. Commodus's 12-year reign had profoundly damaging impacts that precipitated the decline of the Roman Empire after decades of stability. Economic strain from his lavish spending on games and personal indulgences, neglect of the military, which languished due to unqualified loyalist leadership, paying tributes to avoid conflict drained resources and encouraged extortion, marginalization of the Senate, and shift to personal autocratic rule, diminished prestige and moral authority of the imperial office contemporaries viewed Commodus's accession as the transition from a golden age to an era of chaos, turmoil, and cruelty that prefigured Rome's fall. His downfall ushered in the disastrous year of the Five Emperors' civil war. While an extreme example, Commodus's reign exposed the inherent flaws of dynastic hereditary rule when personal failings eclipsed duty to the state. His legacy solidified the start of the long decline of the Roman imperial system. Commodus's narcissistic delusions, cruelty, economic mismanagement, and betrayal of Roman governance led to his assassination, marking the beginning of Rome's decline under his failed rule. He paid the ultimate price for betraying Rome and disgracing the imperial office.